welcome to the 12th, I can't believe it, 12th episode of Back at the Ranch. I'm your host, Danny Knaub. With me is our latest explorer who was sadly voted out the other night, Kimmy. Kimmy, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I know I was saying this a little bit before we hit record, but like I'm a huge fan. I think you played such an amazing game. As someone who's played, I know how difficult it is, but I'm referring to as challenge based. So
I'm
like,
good with that.
but I mean, honestly, like you won three challenges, three individual exemptions, and that's at this moment the record, I believe, because I think everyone else had only had one. So, girl, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's dive on in. So, just going way back to the beginning, just how did it feel to be asked to participate in the very first season of Exemption Online?
I was really excited. It's weird because I had no idea what it was going to be like. I literally had no idea if it was Survivor related. Like I knew nothing. So I was just ready for whatever. And I wasn't expecting all of that. I wasn't expecting it to be so involved and like so much talking to people, which I'm not always the best at like talking to people, I feel like. So I was surprised in that aspect, but it was so fun. It was so challenging. So I was like, my expectations were definitely met.
Well, that's crazy because I was talking to Oe last night and she said something similar. Like, again, as a spectator, as someone who's just watching you as a mod, watching you
Mhm.
on the Twitch, like you all were so social and so chatty. Like, it's so interesting to me to hear that you guys are not typically like this in real life. So
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like I am more in real life, but over video or like with strangers, it's like it's totally different. And like, but anytime I had somebody in like the lean to, like if I had somebody one on one, or if I was just talking to two people, I was a lot more talkative, especially if we were talking game. But when it's like the whole big group, I just felt like a little awkward. Like I just didn't talk a lot. So I was afraid that they were gonna think that I'm like awkward or weird.
well, and that's the challenge of this. I mean, anyone that's watching at home is that, it is a very social game. It's a game that involves a lot of time. It's a lot of videoing. It's a lot of having to get to know you and play games and really be present for hours at a time. And so I think, what we ended up seeing, obviously you were very much in a winning tribe or a winning party, but with the other one, those that were not as involved typically were picked off fast. So I mean, this is a tough game. I mean, it's one that you really need to sort of be present for. So, but obviously, we're all huge Survivor fans, and so the fact
Yeah.
that like Rob, Tyson, I mean, these are like Survivor gods, are heavily involved,
Yeah.
hand-picked their teams. So,
Mhm.
tell me what it was like that first night when Tyson chose you to be part of his party.
I was super excited for the whole thing because I love both of them, but especially Tyson. Like obviously I respect Boston Rob a ton. But I've just always loved Tyson's personality. I was last picked in my round, so he kind of got stuck with me by default, but I was still excited with the team that I was on.
Well, that's funny. I mean, because again, now that we've had a chance to watch you play, like you're a
Yeah.
challenge piece. So, what were you thinking when you were the last one chosen? Were you just like, oh, just wait until you see what I have, or like what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, okay." Like, it was kind of a good thing because I feel like it was like I had lower expectations, like, people had lower expectations of me, but I kind of expected it because I feel like my video just was not good. Like, some people's videos were super well edited and, like, they put forth a lot of effort, but even though I did really wanna be picked, I filmed it, like, right before it was due and just, like, sent it in without editing it or anything, so it was just kinda me, like, talking myself up and like saying I'm good at this and I'm good at this and like so I wasn't surprised, but it definitely made me excited to like prove myself.
He's for sure, for sure. Um, so when you see your party as a whole, like, are you thinking this is a good party, or are obviously you're kind of sizing up everybody. So was there anybody that you were like immediately drawn to? Like, what were you thinking those first few hours of the game?
I was really intimidated just because there was so many people and obviously I didn't know any of them and I felt kind of shy. So I was definitely intimidated by the whole thing, but overall I really liked my party because I felt like we were kind of like weirdos and like we would joke around a lot. And so overall I got a really good vibe from everybody, and like I'm happy that we didn't have to vote anybody off like super soon.
No, for sure. Was there anybody that you were like immediately drawn to, like I want to work with that person, or anybody that you were like sort of like, ooh, I need to keep an eye on them?
I was drawn to Tom. I wanted to work with Tom, and then I think a couple days in, I was drawn to Qua, and I really wanted to work with him. I did want Rachel out early. I think it's because I think I was just intimidated by her. She's super funny and like super outgoing, and I felt like it would be hard for me to be like more social with her in there. And I also just felt like I couldn't really talk game with her. So I definitely wanted her out first, but it's nothing personal. I feel like in real life, I would like her a lot.
That's what I mean. This game is not personal, and that's what
Yeah.
everyone needs to remember: is that you're playing a game, you're trying to get to the end, and you have to make hard decisions. So sometimes people have to go.
Mhm.
So what was fascinating is that you guys basically kicked butt. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Every time I'm talking to somebody from the OG Team Rob party, I'm
Yeah.
always like, you were decimated. Like, I don't know how else to say it in like nicer ways, but you all won the first 4 challenges in a row.
Mhm.
So just what was going on in the party? Like, were you all super united? Were there sort of like little alliances forming? Were there cracks? Like, what was the overall feeling those first 4 days as you guys just kept winning one after another?
I feel like we were pretty much united. It actually started annoying me. Like I wanted to lose one so we could vote somebody out. Like I just wanted to get to the strategy. Like I'm not a fan of like small talk and like talking about like I don't nonsense. Like I didn't care about any of that. And that's probably why I was quiet too. Like I wanted to start talking strategy. So but me, Rachel, Tom, Alex, and Taryn, we did kind of form like an alliance. So there was a little bit of strategizing in the first 4 challenge wins. Um, not enough for me. That's why I pulled Qua and Docs aside and like made a side alliance with them.
No, for sure. I mean, it's so, yeah. I mean, I think that it's interesting because I know I talked to Tom a few nights ago and he was saying just that. He's like, in my head, again, this is him talking, in my head, I don't understand why we could not just stay together and get to like top 8 and then start picking each other off. And he's like, but there were just some players who really just wanted to play more aggressive, that wanted to make moves, that wanted to, which is you essentially, and I think that again as a someone watching it makes it a lot more interesting, and really like you're playing a game, you're trying to get to the end and you're making these hard decisions, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
So in those first few days though, I know that I want to say it was day 2 that the lean to became the lean clue, and it was very obvious that Expedition's version of an idol, which is the compass, was in play.
Mhm.
So how did that affect that night? And were you close to finding it? Did you know who had it on your party?
Um, so I saw Tom go in there first, and then I went in there after, and so I got the clue as well. Um, and then I think the only other person I saw go in was Qua, but apparently Andrea went in there too. So I don't think that everybody went in there. I could be wrong, but it definitely felt like there were a lot of eyes on me and Tom. I felt like people thought that we had it. I was looking for it, but probably not as aggressively as I should have been. I still never found it. I literally never found the first compass. Like I don't know what video it's on. It's fine. But yeah, I thought Tom had it for sure. I was like convinced that he had it and just wouldn't tell me. And then I found out Qua had it and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Well, it's funny because I think when I was talking to Qua, I don't know if he actually went to the lean clue. I think he was saying that, I want to say maybe Andrea told him the clue and he was able to find it. So I think for him, he was
Oh
able
wow.
to sort of like help
Oh my God.
put the spotlight on other people. But yeah, it was very much everyone thought it was you, or everyone thought that Tom had it.
Yeah.
So obviously with that, it was clear that you were already starting to be viewed as a threat in certain ways, as really good at this game. Like, were you aware of the spotlight on you, or how were you feeling? Like, what did you think other people's view of you was?
I just assumed that people didn't like me. I didn't really view it as like, oh, she's a threat. I just kind of thought like oh, they think I'm weird or they think I'm too quiet. Like, and I don't care. Like, my feelings aren't hurt about it, but that's just kind of what I thought. I was like, I'm probably going to get voted out because I'm not as talkative as all of them. I'm not as like friendly as all of them. So I definitely thought that I don't know, for the first vote or two, I was worried, but I didn't think it was like game related.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Perception is everything. Like it's crazy. Like your perception of yourself could be totally different. So that's just how I felt.
That's what I mean, I'd be curious to see what other people say, but I feel like you were very well liked on your party. I mean, I think people gravitated to you. I think people like talking to you. I think you were entertaining. So
Cool.
yeah,
Thank you.
we'll have to wait and see what other people say. So obviously, again, you guys have, I don't want to say like you had an easy few days because this game is not easy, but you're decimating the other team. So then we get to the party swap. And again, like you're kind of in this like really sweet position because
Mhm.
obviously majority of Team Tyson is now Team Rob. So that is yourself, Rachel, Taryn, Alex, Tom, and Jordan. And you have the lone OG Team Rob person, Brandon. So
Mhm.
okay, so let's just be real because obviously you wanted to make moves, you're wanting to like really start the game. Are you like disappointed in the swap, or are you kind of like, okay,
Yes.
you are okay? I love this. I'm obsessed with this. Yeah, tell me more.
I I completely forgot that I made that alliance with Taryn, Tom, Rachel, and Alex. Like it left my mind. I forgot that I was working with them. So when I picked that team and I was with all of them plus Jordan and Brandon, I was like, oh crap. Like, but then when we first got to like the base camp or whatever, they're like, oh my God, we're so lucky we're all together. And I'm like, yeah, oh my God. And like I like played it up, like, yeah, I was so happy when I picked it. But yeah, if the team Rob person, like original team Rob, was different, like other than Brandon, maybe I would have tried to work with them and like tried to pull something, but Brandon and I were like polar opposite, so I didn't see a chance to like work with him really.
And what do you mean by like polar opposites?
He is like very, very like friendly, just very, very nice. He's just a great guy. He's outgoing. He's really good at like small talk. He's very like polished and like very normal. And I just felt like we were totally different.
Interesting. Okay, for sure. It's interesting because I think on his original party, he was sort of um, the leader, very aggressive, very, trying to make moves. So it's fascinating because, hearing what you were looking for, you would think that that would
Mhm.
work out. But like you said, perception is everything. And, if someone is being very outgoing and, if that sort of rubs you, not the wrong way, but it's somebody you're not really feeling. So it's interesting that
Mhm.
that's how he approached the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so anyway, so the swap happens, and then we get to see just how badass of a player you are because you start winning these challenges. So the first challenge is you have a book on your head and you're holding a cup. You win this challenge. Obviously, at the time, no one knew that this was going to be where both parties are going to go to crossroads. You're both voting somebody out.
Mhm.
But you outplayed Kimmy. You lasted. Do you remember how long you lasted on this? Because I have it written down.
An hour, 48 minutes.
Yes, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, did you have 20 more minutes in you? Did you have like seconds in you? Like, what were you? I mean, how close was it?
I think I could have lasted another like 30-ish minutes.
That is
I
insane.
think.
That is so cool. It's also very indicative of the future because like you and Oe sort of were like you were up first, she was second in a few of these, so it was fascinating to play. So this is actually a pretty explosive crossroads. I mean, I think for your party in particular, it was pretty obvious. I mean, was there any talking really about working with Brandon, or was it just sort of like let's just be easy, let's vote out Brandon?
I know that Alex approached him and wanted to work something out, like wanted to work something with him. And I was like, oh, that's weird because if she wanted with him, she would need Jordan's vote. So obviously she wouldn't want to work with him to get rid of Jordan. So she would want to get rid of one of the people in our alliance. So I wanted to like use that and go to like Rachel or Tom or someone and like try to get Alex out. But like I said, every time I talked to like Rachel or Tom, I just got the vibe that they weren't really trying to play like that. So yeah, Alex definitely, I think she might have been the only one that kind of tried to work with him a little bit, but other than that, he didn't try to talk game with me at all. I got the feeling that he would rather play with guys. Maybe I'm totally wrong. That was the perception from the girls on our party. Like he wouldn't talk game with them, but he would with like Tom or Jordan. So yeah, it was a pretty easy vote.
Oh, interesting. Another thing I want people who are watching to understand is that an extra layer that makes it difficult is that you have limited chats. I mean, there's only certain chats set up in Discord. So you sort of have like the big tribe chat where it's everybody's involved. You have one where it's like 2 people only. I think one that's like 4 people only, 3 people only. So you have to be very strategic, and you don't always get alone time with your fellow explorers. So it's this delicate balance of wanting to make moves, but also what you have a chance to actually do. So,
Mhm.
um, so what is your view on that crossroads? Because obviously you get to go second, so you're actually observing the whole new Team Tyson's crossroads. So you see somebody from your original party, Andrea, go. Are you surprised? Are you like, what are you all feeling?
I wasn't surprised. Um, I was a little actually surprised that it seemed like Docs wasn't worried at all. Qua was obviously worried. He played his compass and his name came up, and then Andrea got votes. So I was surprised. I feel like Docs maybe integrated himself really well with that group to not really feel nervous or even be brought up at all. So I thought that was interesting. But no, I wasn't surprised to see Andrea go, but I was really, really sad.
Yeah. We actually lost 2 compasses that night. So you had Qua who played his compass, and you also had Jake that played his. So you had 2 compasses that were essentially burned in this
Mhm.
crossroads. You also had Brandon who was using his whiteboard like it was going out of style. So
Yeah.
was anybody worried about his theatrics, or were you just sort of like, whatever, we're still gonna vote you out?
We weren't worried. I thought it was really entertaining. Like I liked that he did that. Like, he didn't just like roll over and die. He was trying everything. So I respect it. But we already had planned to split the votes between him and Jordan just in case he had a compass. So basically, if Jake did give Brandon the compass, we would have just voted Jordan out. So I don't think any of us were really worried.
Okay. No, solid. You had plan B, so everything worked out. So then the swap doesn't last very long. We actually merge, which is, in Survivor, it's sort of a rite of passage. Like if you make merge, you make jury, it's like, obviously everyone's playing to win, but there's that little bit of
Yeah.
you that's like, okay, like I at least made it here. This is really cool.
Yeah.
So congrats on that. So this is the can challenge. Jake is actually the one who wins this exemption. So one thing I
Mhm.
want to talk about though is that there's money involved. So at some point, OE actually gives you money during this whole process. What did you
Mhm.
think of that move when she gave you some money?
I thought it was really nice. I think it was kind of like an easy choice for her because Jake's whole like reason he gave her the money was because she lasted so long in that competition. And I was totally fine with that, but I was like, okay. And so then she was like,
One.
yeah, well, if we're going, I didn't care though, but I was like, okay, yeah. But then I guess she just like piggybacked off of that and like gave it to me. So I was really thankful that she did it. I thought it was super sweet.
Yeah. So then, though, a little twist is that Andy basically says, if you all are, as a group, willing to give the money back, you can choose, you have to, all of you say the same person, can choose another
Mhm.
explorer to be exempt. Immediately, you all say, yes, we will give the money back. Oe says, I want exemption. Jake says, that's good with me. And what do you say?
I was like, it was a really hard choice because I was trying to blindside Rachel and I needed Team Rob's vote. And so if I say no, oh, you can't have exemption, they might just turn on me because I feel like I really approached them like guns blazing trying to get Rachel out, which obviously they were okay with. But at the same time, if I did give OE exemption, Rachel and Tom would immediately know it's up and then they would just allow choose somebody else to vote for, whether it be me or another, team raw person. So I just wanted to avoid all of that. I should have just kept my money, but I didn't want to like make either side mad because I felt like it would ruin the plan. So I kind of wanted to act like I kind of played it up that I was like, oh, it was a really hard decision. Like I got nervous. I didn't know what to do. But really I was like, I just need to like stay as like middle ground as I can because I need this plan to work.
For sure. So, A, why Rachel? And B, who was leading that charge?
Um, Well, like I said, I wanted Rachel out since the beginning. I just felt like she was super likable. I felt like she could get the other party to like her really easily. I also knew that her and Tom were really close, and anytime I see a pair, I just think I just want to separate them. And I did feel a little closer with Tom, so I wanted Rachel. Um, and I definitely feel like I led it. Alex was right there with me, but like I had that idea since day one. So as soon as we rendezvoused, like that's when I saw my opportunity. Um, so I'm just happy that Alex was like right there with me and was able to kind of help me get the votes that we needed. Even though I think she wanted Tom out. So I think she might have voted for Tom to go. But either way, we were pretty much on the same page.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it was pretty easy to get the others on board because obviously they were in the minority and I think they were looking for a Hail Mary. So I think
Yeah.
anybody you guys put in front of them, they would have jumped at.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm obsessed with this crossroads, first of all, because this is the only one I actually wrote down a phrase because Tom said the minority seems real comfortable, which was something when you were watching was very obvious. I felt like as a spectator watching it, Tom and Rachel both around the same time, you just kind of saw them go like, bing, like this isn't good. Like this isn't going our way.
Yeah.
And obviously Rachel gets a little upset and
Yeah, a little.
Howard goes after you. So how are you feeling? Because it was pretty personal. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone understands that this is a game and emotions take over and no one really means certain things. But like, what were you
Yeah.
thinking at that moment when she really was coming at you?
I loved it. I feel like I was just like, keep it going. Cause like I was just like the nail in the coffin for her. And I don't care what you call me or whatever. So like a tiny part of me was afraid that they were gonna be able to like rally votes against me because she's like, I'm voting Kimmy. And I'm like, okay. But then when she like really like blew up like that, I knew that it was over for her. So I was like, cool. Like I loved it.
I cannot love you anymore. First of all, I feel like I love that reaction. I love it. Like, yes, like bring it on. This is
Yeah.
entertaining. Like, I'm enjoying
Yeah.
this. It just speaks volumes to you, and I actually appreciate that because this is a game, and there are a lot of people who take it very personally. Like, I
Yeah.
know some people who have. So, the fact that you recognize this is a game and can kind of laugh at it and also just sort of roll with it is huge. So, well, anyway, you get your way. Rachel goes home. So then going into Friday the 13th, my personal favorite challenge, the Scavenger Hunt. First of all, just was that as much fun to play as it is to watch? I mean, it's so fun.
No, no, I hated it.
Why?
Cause I like didn't have most of that stuff. I don't know if you remember how long it took me to come back with for the apple thing when they were like I had no idea everyone had an apple. I don't have apples. Like I don't eat eggs. So like yeah, I hated that challenge.
So really fast in my season, I was out super early and I was so mad too because like I wanted to play it so well. They
Yeah.
said run and get a card. So this was the third letter. And so in my head, I was like, Christmas card. I don't know why. So I'm like running across my house to get to like a Christmas card. And I hear somebody say, like, does a debit card or a credit card work? And they're like, sure. In my head, I was like, I had that right next to my iPad. Like, you know what I mean? I was so mad.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah. I
nothing
wasn't
on
a
me.
fan of that.
Um, so Docs is the one who actually wins this exemption. Um, is this a fairly easy night? Because obviously Tom and Rachel were sort of on the outs. Is there much to discuss at this point?
Not really. I was hoping that everybody would just stick to Tom because I knew he was gonna try to like drag my name through the mud and like I just didn't want to have that obviously and I felt like after he was gone it would almost be like a clean slate but yeah I just felt like from the previous crossroads he was going to be so mad at me that we just needed to get him out of there. And luckily, the Rob people were still in the minority, and it's really easy to get them to vote with you because obviously they don't want to go home. So everyone was pretty much on the same page about Tom.
So before we get into the vote though and what happened, one other thing I wanted to ask is obviously when those two compasses were burned 2 crossroads ago, was there talk amongst everybody about finding the replacements? Were you looking, like, what was that vibe like?
I think we talked about it a little bit. I didn't look for them as hard as I should have. I feel like it wasn't like my thing. I could not find them super easily. So I figured, I just made a big move. I need to just like work on my social game and do kind of damage control. So I think I was more focused on that. But yeah, I definitely think that it was in people's heads.
Yeah. So Tom is voted out, but similar to his counterpart Rachel, Tom goes out in a very flashy style as well, and a lot of the attention again is on you. So,
Yeah.
are you still happy that people are like calling you out, or are you tired of this? Like, how are you feeling? Tom, for those that didn't watch, Tom had a whiteboard again and kind of did this whole theatrical scene essentially of like describing you. I mean, you'll probably do a better job talking about it.
Um, I remember being a lot more nervous during this crossroads. Um, because when he pulled out like my resume. And so I thought he was gonna say, the things that I've done. Like I lasted almost 2 hours in an exemption challenge. I initiated a blind side on my alliance and stuff that might make people want to vote for me in the end. But instead, he just kind of roasts me and says that I'm only thinking short term. I have no long term goals. And so I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of stupid. Like that just makes me look dumb. So why wouldn't they want to keep me? So I was like more nervous, but it was really entertaining. And I felt like I don't know what he was thinking. I feel like it wasn't very effective, whatever he was trying to do.
Yeah, I think he was looking for eyeballs. I think he was looking to kind of make a splash. I don't know if
Yeah.
it worked completely to what he was trying to do, kind of to your point.
Mhm.
But one thing is that, okay, at this point, you've only won one individual exemption. So I can
Mhm.
understand not feeling like too much attention's on you. But is there any part of you that is nervous that you're being painted as this threat, as this sort of like, or are you still feeling like I'm good, no one's looking at me?
Um, I was still feeling pretty good because we had the majority with the Team Tyson people. Once Rachel and Tom were out of there, I felt like we were a little more united. I still had Alex and Taryn, and then I had Dox and Qua, and I was getting close with Sam and Oe. So I felt pretty good at this point. I wasn't really thinking like there was nothing I could do at that point to minimize my target. So I wasn't really going to try. I was like, well, at this point I got to try to like win every challenge. So yeah, I wasn't like too worried. I felt like I had good relationships with people at that point, I think.
Nice. So we go into the next challenge, stacking coins on a butter knife. Again, shout out to our amazing expedition challenge crew. They come up with some really fun challenges and they're fun to watch. And I love that they all have a little bit of Survivor in them. It's like you can kind of
Mhm.
tell the origins of where they come from.
Yeah.
You win. This is another one that you win. This is your second individual exemption win. You're up against Oe again in this one. You lasted over an hour. So you lasted an hour. I think she dropped it an hour and three. Is this another one where you felt like you had a solid chunk of time left in you, or were you struggling? Like, how are you feeling with this one?
Um, I could have gone for a lot longer, but like I did feel like I could hear the coins kind of like rattling. So I wasn't getting like dizzy or sick. Like I could have kept spinning forever, but I was afraid if I like twitched or something that the coins would fall. So I'm just glad that I won.
Yeah. Um, and how are you good at these things? Like, do you have
I
any
don't
skills?
know. Like, I mean, I literally did gymnastics for like a couple years when I was like 6. So I don't think that that is like helping me at all. I think I'm like double jointed and just like flexible, and I always stand in like weird positions and like I balance all the time. I just feel like I don't know. I really don't know. I can balance things, I guess.
Um, okay, so you win individual exemption. Kudos. So going into this one, I'm really fascinated your thoughts. So obviously, you vote for Oe. Um, Everyone's voting for Owie. We find out later that Jess has a compass. Jess plays that compass for Owie to save her. But when you going into this, were you all about getting out Owie? Because you just kind of mentioned that you vibing with her a little bit. And Sam, how are you feeling just at this one? Were you just kind of going with the flow, or were you really gunning for Owie?
I was not really gunning for her. I kind of wanted her to stay in because I felt like at this point, I did kind of feel like my threat level was increasing, and having her around, I feel like would help that. And I just felt like going head to head with her kind of bonded us a little bit, and we just had this like mutual respect for each other. So I did want to work with her, but I felt like if I went against my whole party, it would just completely alienate. And at this point, we still had a pretty good majority. So I didn't feel like it was the right time to go against them. But I wasn't necessarily upset that she stayed in. I was kind of happy that she stayed.
Yeah. Um, so what was interesting here, and forgive me, I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but I was modding a lot that day. And I
Mhm.
remember specifically, and I brought this up to him, I remember Qua saying to several people, I don't know if you were one of them, but saying to a lot of sort of like that alliance, saying like, I'm pretty sure Jess has a compass. I'm pretty sure Jess is gonna play this for Owie. And it felt like just no one wanted to listen to him. Like, was there discussions of like splitting the votes in case there was a compass, or because it felt like he was really on track and just nobody wanted to hear it?
There was discussion of splitting the vote. We almost split it. And I remember I talked to Qua right after he talked to Jess, and he was like kind of on his phone, or he was doing something. He was like, I kind of think Jess has it and she's gonna play for Owie. And I was like, then why are we voting for Owie? That makes no sense.
Yeah,
And he's like, but he was like kind of dismissive about it. Like I feel like he didn't I like couldn't fully believe him. I was like, is he telling the truth? Because the way he said it, it sounded like it wasn't a big deal. And I remember asking him, like, well, then why are we doing that? Um, so it's really sad that he went home. I remember saying that Jess is like non-threatening. And I feel like at that point she was not threatening. Um, but yeah, I didn't know if I could fully trust Qua. I felt like he was kind of like being a little vague. So I was like, I'm just gonna stick with the plan, whatever.
no, I can actually see that. I mean, I feel like I remember he was never like super forceful about it, but it was fascinating because he was spot on, but just
Yeah.
nobody. And I don't know if that was Docs. I mean, because Docs is, a very smart person and very, sort of leading in certain ways. And
Yeah.
you guys had this very, not complicated, but you had a system. It was like,
Mhm.
everybody had a number. There was four of them. It was like one, two, three, or four, and you were going to throw up a number in case you wanted to change your mind. So I know as a spectator, I was waiting for that number because I was like, I think Qua's onto this, but then like it never
Yeah.
happened. So
Yeah.
sadly, Qua goes home. You'd think that you guys would have an easy night, but we go into an immediate challenge, which is a memory challenge, and Owie wins. She had to win. Like she knew
Yeah.
she had to win at this point. So obviously it's Sam that goes. Is that easy because you're just sort of like, if it's not Owie, it has to be Sam, or was there thought? Because obviously, for anyone watching at home, like you had no time. It wasn't like you were allowed to go back to camp and talk. You had to sort of stay at Crossroads, so there was very limited conversation.
Yeah. It was a really easy vote. I was actually really glad that that was the night that we had double crossroads because it didn't give us time. The fact that we had a number system already in the previous crossroads, and then we went right into a double crossroads, it made it really easy to just throw up a number and vote for them. Like the more, if it was like a normal crossroads and we had more time to talk and strategize, obviously there's a chance that me or a Team Tyson person could go because you never know what's going to happen. But since it was so close together and we already had numbers made up, we just threw up a number and we all had agreed. And Sam was just really good at talking with people. I did feel close with him and Oe too, but I felt like everybody kind of felt close with Sam. Like he was so friendly and like got along with everybody. So that's why I felt like we chose him second.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So then we go into Monday, and it's the storytime challenge. You now win your third exemption. Um, yeah, I mean, so three, you're clearly a threat now, So are you,
Yeah.
how are you feeling? Because obviously you're sticking with sort of your original party alliance. But at this point, are you exploring other options? Like, what's in your mind in general going into this crossroads?
I was nervous that I had won because before I was kind of relying on the fact that I won two like endurance type competitions. So I was playing that up and I was like, yeah, I can't do any of these like whiteboard ones, or like I can't do like trivia or memorization, or like and so I was kind of like playing that up. But then when I won that one, I couldn't do that as much. So I was definitely nervous, but I knew I had to win. So obviously I was happy that I won. But yeah, I was definitely trying to explore other options. I really wanted to vote with Jess, Oe, and Jake and get Alex out. And I thought that we were gonna do that. But last minute, well, I guess it wasn't last minute, it was probably like the whole time, but Jake was not down. So I couldn't get Jake on board, could not get Docs on board, so I had to just vote with my original party again.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I know that I don't know if it's this one or the next one, but I know that this is when I think Jess and always start trying to use that to their advantage. I think they try to call you out and try to get you fighting with Alex and bringing
Mhm.
it up, and you're denying it. Alex is denying it. It's like they're doing what they had to do to survive. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, why do you think no one wanted in on that plan? Like, why do you think that Jake and Docs didn't want in on that plan?
I have no idea what goes on in Jake's head. I will never know. I literally have no idea what he's thinking. He's better than I am because he's still in there. I feel like Docs plays it a little safer than I do. And so I think he just wanted original team Rob out. And plus he knew that Oe and Jess didn't really like him. They were throwing his name out a lot. So I kept trying to tell him, like, Alex is talking about you too. She wants me out and then she wants you out. And he just was like adamant that he needed Oe out that night. Like I could not change his mind. So I don't know why Jake didn't. I mean, he flips so frequently. I don't know why he wouldn't just flip with us that night and get Alex out. I feel like I would be, maybe I would have survived the next vote. But yeah, I could not get Jake or Docs. Yeah.
Yeah. I think always saw Docs as sort of like the puppet master of the group. So up until this point, though, who do you think's calling the shots? Is it you or is it Docs?
Yeah, yeah, I would think me and Alex like are kind of, we're the ones that really like initiated a plan, and Docs just kind of does like what is smart and what, like, he's very like what are the numbers, and that's a great strategy. Like he's super smart. But yeah, Alex and I were laughing because we're like, he doesn't call the shots. Like he doesn't tell us what to do. Like I don't think that at all. I think I drove a couple of the votes, and but I just let them think that he was the puppet master and controlling us, because that took the spotlight off of me a little bit.
Oh, totally. Anything that takes the spotlight off of you is like,
Yeah.
yep, that's him. Yep, yep,
Yeah.
over there, look there. Like,
Yeah.
so this is another sort of twist. You're essentially find out from Andy that instead of the most votes go home, it's actually the least amount of votes that goes home as long as it's one. Does this cause any issues, or is it still pretty much you have a game plan and you're going with it? It just flips a little bit.
Well, luckily we had Docs because he kind of pulled everybody together and just said it very, like, I was like, what? Like, I didn't know who I was gonna vote for. I was like, I don't know. So yeah, he had a really level head and just literally told us all what to do. So I guess that's why they think that he's like the puppet master, which he's not. He just brings up an idea and like we follow it if we want to. In that case, um, yeah, Oe had called me out and said, I'm voting for Alex because that's what Kimmy wanted me to do. And I was like, okay, now I definitely got to vote for Oe. So that's why I like stuck with that plan.
But you were gonna vote Owie anyway, right?
Well, I knew that I didn't have Jake because I was in a room. I thought that I had him to vote with us four, but then I was in a room with him like right before Crossroads, and I could tell he was not down with that. Like he wanted to vote Oe. So yeah, going into the Crossroads, I was still pretty sure that I was going to vote Oe, but then when she said that, it kind of just made me more sure.
Okay. So Owie leaves. That leaves the lone original Team Rob member of Jess, and the rest are original Team Tyson members. So we go into the next day, which is sadly the day that you go home. So it's sort of the bad day. But this challenge is superlatives, and it's it's there for a reason. It's there to cause some problems. It's there to like stir the pot a little bit. It's really to sort of help people understand what is happening in the game. And
Mhm,
so let me see if I can figure out exactly. So you were called winning. So essentially, everyone
mhm,
said that you were winning this game. You were
mhm,
named fake. You were
mhm.
named hardcore.
Yeah, that's it.
That's three. How do you feel about that?
I was like, "Oh my God." Like I was shocked that I got called fake. I mean, I could see it, but Jake is way more fake than I am. Like, so I was super surprised at that one. Um and I mean, I could kind of see it because I do like flip back and forth, and I just tell everyone like, okay, I agree with that plan, and then I just like choose which one I want to do. So I could kind of see it. Um, hardcore, I was surprised at, and then winning, I was like, dang it, that's not a good one to get.
Well, it's good because it means you're doing a really good job, but it also means like you're doing a really good job.
Yeah, it's like too obvious. Like I just don't know how to be like less obvious. Like I'm just like bam, like all cards on the table, like let's go for it. And so yeah, my strategy was super like out there, I think. So yeah, when I got that, that probably played a huge role in me going home that night.
I mean, I think, yeah, I think that people had their eye on you for a
Mhm.
while because you were kicking butt. But, I think that that definitely, it's a hard thing to escape. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, let me know, but do you know how you voted for fake, winning and hardcore?
For fake, I voted Jake.
Okay.
For hardcore, I voted Taryn. I feel like I misinterpreted like some of the words a little bit because she's very like enthusiastic and like animated and just like so I was like she's hardcore. I don't know. And then for winning, I voted myself like an idiot, and that's probably yeah. I was just like, oh, I'm winning. Like I didn't. My ego was just like, yeah, it's me. And then yeah, I'm stupid. I know.
Oh my God. So,
Yeah.
were there any other superlatives that either like shocked you or that you felt like would stir things up a little bit more? I mean, for me, when I see like Docs is calculated, Alex is under the radar, I think that those are also terms that that put a spotlight on those people. Did you vote
Yeah.
for those two as those, or do you remember?
I did. Yeah. I voted for Docs. He's very calculated, strategic. I definitely voted him for those. I was a little surprised that he got manipulative, but again, I feel like the original Team Rob people's perception of him is different than our perception of him as original Team Tyson because they view him as just very like calling the shots and all of that. So I don't view him as that manipulative. So I was surprised that he got that one. But I think the ones that shocked me the most were probably like a couple that I got. But other than that, Jake and Jordan being a goat, Jess being loyal, like those I wasn't really surprised at.
Well, but the thing is that only those that were still in the game voted. So the fact that everyone voted Doc's manipulative, the only
Yeah.
OG Team Rob was Jess. So that obviously means that.
Well, Jake too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yes, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was surprising for him to get manipulative. But yeah, he got a lot of like positive game related ones, so that was his target definitely grew. And then Alex, I think I voted, she got sneaky and under the radar, and I think I voted her for those two.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, I found it well, interesting that Jess didn't get any. I mean, she got tied, but obviously that didn't come up as a question. But Jess was not an answer for any of them. Was that just because you guys don't know her very well, or did you just not think she was any of those words?
um I think it's because we don't know her as well. Like we haven't known her for as long, and she doesn't really talk a lot in the whole like big group. um I voted for her. I think I voted her for like kind and trustworthy maybe and loyal. So I definitely voted her for some, and that they were positive ones. I mean, the only thing I really knew about her was that she gave Oe the compass and she's nice. So that's kind of what I was going off of. But yeah, I think it's just because we've all known each other for longer. And then Jake, obviously his personality is just really big and shows a lot. So that's I think why he got more than Jess.
How did you do in that challenge?
Not great.
Not great. Okay. So obviously Alex wins that challenge. So going into Crossroads, are you nervous or are you feeling, what was your plan? What did you think was going to happen?
I thought we were gonna vote out Jess. I mean, I definitely was a little nervous. I knew my target was big, but I couldn't talk a ton of game because when it was the big group of us in one room, I know that the perception of me is, I'm going here and here and here. I'm talking to a bunch of different people. I'm throwing out a bunch of different plans. I win things. So like my target was so big that I felt like if I was just room hopping a lot and trying to talk to people one on one, they would get more suspicious of me. So I tried to just stay with the majority. I felt like it was safer. But yeah, that just opened the door for people to talk about me. So I was definitely surprised. I was surprised by one vote. I wasn't surprised by others.
Which vote were you surprised by?
Taryn.
And why
Yeah.
were you surprised?
She hasn't done a lot the whole game. I mean, I love her as a person, but I don't know. And in that challenge, like she got a lot of positive ones, like personality related, but game related, I think she got like naive and
Okay.
maybe another one that you might not want to get. So I think that kind of like kickstarted her a little bit. So I was surprised that she made a move. Like I was proud of her, but I knew that Jake and Jordan, Docs had already told me that Jake and Jordan were kind of throwing my name out. So I wasn't super surprised when I had gotten like 2 or 3 votes. But when Andy read the last one, I was like, huh,
Yeah.
okay.
Are you familiar now with what was going on behind the scenes during this one, or?
A little bit. I saw a clip. I went back and watched the stream and I saw like Taryn talking to Jess and she's like, Kimmy, and I'm like, okay. But I don't know who like really drove it. Like if I had to guess, I would say like Jake or Taryn, I guess, but I don't know for sure.
I think both of them sort of spearheaded it a little bit. And then I think, Jess was able to get on board. And I think that that kind of started it. But what was crazy about that night is that Alex gave Jess her advantage, the safety without power,
Yeah.
thinking that she was going to leave. And she
Mm-hmm.
didn't leave. So Jess was just like, thanks for the power. I'm
Yeah.
here, still voting at
Yeah.
me, and you're gonna be blind. Like, so it was kind of, as a spectator, it was really fun to watch that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you're voted out 4-3. What were you thinking? I mean, obviously you kind of mentioned it, but are you bummed, obviously?
Yeah, I was really sad. I was like, dang it, I didn't want to stop playing yet. Like I had the end like envisioned. I was like, I need to get there. I felt like it was really stupid for them to take me out when they did. I mean, if I didn't get voted out that night, I would have gotten voted out as soon as I didn't win. Like I knew that. So, I wasn't that bummed because I felt like maybe it wasn't super likely that I did get to the final three, but I felt like if I did get to the final three, I had a good chance of winning. So yeah, I was definitely bummed, but I still think they should have taken out Jess that night, and then they could have taken out me next, or whenever I lost.
Well, yeah, everyone obviously is always like, yeah, take that person out first, and then then come.
Yeah.
Is there anything, looking back, you've only had a few days since you were voted out, but anything you would have done differently?
Um, Not really. I mean, I think that first challenge when Oe and I lasted that long, I think our long-term game was over. But I wouldn't necessarily take that back because I wanted to see how long I could go, and like I'm proud of myself for going that long. So I think that was one of the biggest things that was a detriment to my game. But yeah, I mean, I made connections with people. I tried. I mean, I played really hard. So I think the only thing I could have done differently to still be in the game is not play as hard. So no, I don't think there's anything that really I would do different. Oh, maybe look for a compass harder. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. And that's what I love about this game is that it's so easy for people to sit back and watch and be like, you should have done this, you should have done that. But not until you're in it and you have a book on your head with a cup and you're just like, I want to see how long I can do this. Like that.
Yeah, like the game goes away.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
just competitive, and you're like, I want to take these people down, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating the people who are like, I should go out fourth, and like that's how their thinking is. Like I was always competitive. I want to be like, no, no,
Yeah.
like I want to go as hard as I can, as long as I can, because I want to see if I can do it. And
Yeah, exactly.
obviously, that painted a huge target. So you're out of the game now. You're joining the jury. You get the chance to, award one of the remaining explorers $1,000.
Mhm.
Of those, obviously, someone else has been booted since I've talked to you. So those remaining in the game, A, who are you rooting for? And B, who do you think has the best chance of winning? Could be the same person or it could be different people.
I'm definitely rooting for Docs. Um, yeah. Um, who do I think has the best chance of winning? Honestly, I don't think Jess's chance is big. She hasn't won. I don't think she's won a single competition or even been super close. So, if she doesn't win that final competition, I think they're definitely going to vote her out. So I think Taryn has a pretty good chance, and Alex, because Alex is pretty good at the competition. So I think Alex, Taryn, or Docs, they all have a good chance of
Yeah,
making it to the final three.
for sure. And you're rooting for dogs, so that's good to know. So, any final words or anything that you haven't explained or shared that you want to talk about?
Um, Not really. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I would definitely do it again. I really want to play again. I'm like itching to like start up again and like, make those changes or whatever. But no, I mean, I had a really good time and like it was really nice meeting new people and just competing. And I'm really, really excited to see what happens next.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure to watch you. I'm hoping that once this game is over, you'll see that there's a fun side, is what we call it. And there's a lot of alumni, there's a lot of people who have played this game that are still in this community that hang out and we all talk and we all just play games. It's a really fun
Yeah.
community. It's very welcoming. You have a lot of fans. So I think you'll see that just a lot of people really liked you. Um,
Oh,
and I have to say, like, I know I said it before, I think I hit record, but like, I love a powerful female. And I just thought you were so badass. I loved watching you play. I love that you were like non-apologetic. You were like, I have a plan or I want to make a move.
yeah.
And, obviously it didn't work for you to get to the end, but it made for a game that was really fun to watch, a game that's really respected, and a game that just, I mean, you're hardcore and it was just incredible. Like honestly, like I'm sorry, I think I'm like geeking out because I just think like it's fun to watch people who are not afraid because Jeff Probst always says it like you have to play to win and you have to make big
Mhm.
moves.
Yeah.
And you did that and you tried hard and you really, stirred it up a little bit and flipped the game and, made it entertaining. So that's what we call all-star material. I'm not in casting at
Woo.
all, but if we have all-stars, I feel like you have to be there because like you're
Oh my
incredible
God, I would love to. I hope so.
for sure. So, but otherwise, thanks again for just, welcoming us in and letting us watch you play the game. Everyone at home, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Back at the Ranch. We're at the final stretch, 5 people left, and you will be voting for a winner very soon. So I can't wait to see how the next few days unfold. I can't wait to see who you vote for. And everyone at home, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.